So Friday's fast-moving storm took its toll on businesses in Brooklyn, causing severe flooding in some areas of the borough.
So what is next for business owners as they really deal with the damage, right? Here to give us some advice is Randy Pierce, president of Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce. So good to see you. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
You know, so we saw so much, like Brooklyn was really the epicenter of these floodwaters, right? Talk about the damage and just how badly some of these mom and pop shop businesses were really affected by it.
Yeah, unfortunately, we've seen this before, Hurricane Ida. So that was just in 2021. Four categories of really damage here. Number one, you've got buildings that had structural integrity issues before the storm. The storm just exacerbated it. You had sewer backup in a lot of neighborhoods, and that's where you see these rivers kind of flowing down streets. If you were next to an unsecure construction site, you got runoff from the construction site. So there are all different types of damage that businesses and residents were facing, for sure.
Yeah. Which areas or which neighborhoods were?
Yeah, a lot of low-lying areas, communities in Brooklyn. So I think about Sunset Park, which comes down to a slope. Park Slope, Gowanus was hit pretty hard. South Williamsburg. Mermaid Avenue and Coney Island. These were Cortelyou Road and Ditmas Park was hit pretty hard too. Yeah.
So do you have a number, a quantified number of how many businesses may be affected by this?
Yeah, we've logged in already just through the Brooklyn Chamber 175 businesses, and that's an undercount. I mean, that's only the ones that were reporting to us. You know, the city's doing a great job through Department of Small Business Services and OEM to go out there and record other damage, whether it's residential or business damage. So, you know, we're talking literally hundreds of businesses and hundreds of residential units.
Yeah, I mean, and some businesses, especially some of the smaller shops, don't know what their rights are, what they can do to get help. I mean, so what are some steps that business owners can take? Yeah,
unfortunately, there's not a lot of options for them right now. I mean, if they have insurance and if insurance honors the claim, they should file that claim right away. The city has filed for a declaration of disaster area declaration, which would open up for some federal funding. We're hopeful on that. We got that in 2021 with Hurricane Ida. But beyond that, it's like you got to clean out and you got to hopefully, you know, just build back as the best you can.
Yeah. So can you just walk me through that? If you don't have insurance, wouldn't they have insurance?
Most of them would have insurance, but it might not cover this. Act of God sometimes is not included in the insurance policy.
It's that fine print. Every darn time it's the fine print.
And by the way, it's not even like flood. I got flood insurance. It doesn't matter. This is not, you know, the flooding wasn't occurred by coastal flooding. It was by rainfall.
Yeah. So we have like some specific steps that people can take if they did suffer damage. So first you have to report that.
You want to report it. You want to report it through 311. Please call Brooklyn Chamber, info@brooklynchamber.com. You want to document everything. You want to take as many pictures as you possibly can. And by the way, documenting also means putting a value on the loss, right? So whether it was inventory, whether it was equipment or anything like that. And then you want to clean up. I mean, you can't leave the water hanging around because that just causes mold and other problems long term.
Yeah, so remove the wet carpeting, ceiling tiles. If you have an HVAC or a boiler system, have that looked at. All of this costs money.
It does.
So for some of these businesses that are barely staying afloat as it is, where is that money coming from?
Yeah, unfortunately, there's not a lot of options right now. We are hopeful that if we get the disaster declaration, that we'll get some federal funds through the Department Small Business Administration, for example. But beyond that, you know, the Brooklyn Chamber hopes to do some grant work, raising some corporate dollars for small business grants. But there's not much out there right now.
All right. Well, Randy, thanks so much for all your tips this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.